I think yeah, it should be around anytime from now. It should be around anytime from now. Good evening, ma. Good evening, ma. And thanks for joining. I think my guest should. Please bear with me, even though I'm 24 minutes late. I'm behind the schedule. Still waiting for my guests to pop up on the screen. I'm waiting for my guests. As soon as show up on the screen, we kick off. As soon as it show up, we kick off. Still waiting. Okay, I think my guest up on the screen, and to start up now. Good evening.
Thank you very much.
So we start. Yeah. Good evening, my fam.
Honey?
Good day, good morning, wherever you are watching us live. My followers and my well wishers, you are warmly welcome to another edition of Health Media Chat, which is coming up to you live on Adam's Head Blog. Today, 26 December 2020. My guest on the show today is a business mogul, a serial nursepreneur, a concierge consultant in private health practice, the medical director of the MUNDESI Hospital Limited. He's also the chief executive officer of MUNDESI Group, which is a registered company, a group under the Corporate Affairs Commission in Nigeria in 2017. My guest is also a healthpreneur coach, sexual health expert, relationship and marriage counselor. He is the founder of a group called RMCC, that is Relationship, Marriage and Counseling Clinic. He is a Nigerian registered nurse. Welcome, Osagie Merry Osenwinge. Thanks for accepting my invitation and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
My viewers,
it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming up. Now, based on the profile of my guest today, be rest assured that you will gain from this interview. So take your seat and relax. This live interview is supported by the CEO Nurses Network and Nursing World with Peace. Now, let's go straight to the point, and let me ask with this. I don't know how I can start with you. Should I start with Mr. Osagie, or I should say Nurse Osagie, or I should say CEO Osagie? I don't even know how to call you, please.
I prefer people addressing me as Merry or Osagie, whichever one you can remember. Most people know me as half human, half oracle.
Oh, God bless you. So I think I will use the title on this particular show, if you permit me, half human, half oracle. Can we start with that, please? What is the meaning of this statement?
Yeah, because I have so many experiences, so many life experiences that I couldn't get in classrooms. And most of these experiences that I have acquired, most times when I begin to speak, most people begin to ask so many questions like, how do you know these things? What come about these things? And I will just tell them, well, if only a man filled with the spirit of the creator can know the things that I know. So
Oh, God
so
bless.
some people just give me the title half human, half oral. So that's why I just accept it.
I think I will be part. I will join the crew of those people as well, because it's beyond my understanding as well.
Thank you very much.
Now,
Uh,
let me start with this question.
okay.
Based on your profile, you are man of a lot of interests. You are here and there. How do
Hmm.
you function in all these areas of your interests?
Well, it's more of the things that I love most. Some of the things that I do are some of the things that I love most. Even as a registered nurse, there are some basic things that I love doing. I like, for example, I like to see happy couples. I like to see relationship works. I like to see people finding solutions to their problems. I like to see nurses not making mistakes. I like, because while growing up for me it was difficult. So I like to see people not making mistakes, especially nurses. So many opportunities in nursing, and I decided to teach them. So I have a lot of time to do the things I will do, because my business, my physical business, is not does not even need my presence.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Now, why did you venture into all this area of entrepreneurship?
Because I was born and brought up by a businessman.
Oh,
I grew up in a business environment. Uh, I started selling. I started selling at the age of 5 years.
wow.
I started buying. I started buying to. I started buying to make profit at as little as 10 years. I can remember. I made my first 500,000 naira profit when I was 17 years. Yeah. So my life has been a business life.
Okay.
I have never been comfortable with salary. So I don't even know how salary ends. So
Now,
that's why
yeah,
I
yeah, thank you. I'm actually interested in that point that you just mentioned now, because you talk about the salary and how do people, live on salary. That will not take me to this particular question. There is this kind of notion, or let me say, there is this kind of claim statement that healthcare workers, especially nurses, are lifesavers. So they don't have time for extra activities. When they go to the work in the morning, by the time they are back to the house, they are tired. There is no time to think about what are extra things that I can do. But you now, you are telling us, I think you are doing the opposite of what is a general claim, that we don't have the time. How did you venture into this?
most most people refuse to think outside their 9 to 5 p.m. job. Like I always tell the medical workers, doctors and nurses, I always tell them that you can maintain your 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. job. Why you invest? Invest on something that you love doing, not something that you saw your friends doing. For example, I am not a fashion designer, so I cannot invest into fashion because I don't know anything about fashion. So if I want to invest into fashion, it's going to stress my mind. I am not an entertainer. I am not a comedian. You don't expect me to invest into music, but it's something that's going to stress me. But something that I love doing cannot stress me. For example, you are a nurse, you like nursing. Why don't you invest into the nursing profession? Nurses are allowed to set up a nursing home. Nurses are allowed to set up a maternity home if you are a midwife. Now, if you are a psychiatric nurse, you can set up a mental health center. If you are a geriatric nurse, you can set up a geriatric home. Why don't you save up? You can save up, you can save up and invest on a maternity home or a nursing home or a geriatric center in Nigeria. You can invest while you are doing your 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. While you are doing your 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, people can be working for you because you employ them. People can be working for you. Let me give you an instance. Today, I was coming from a place where I went to go and do a free medical checkup in a town called Maya. I saw a three-bedroom flat. I saw a three-bedroom flat, and I called the person that I called the agent who I called the agent who is in charge of the apartment, and I told the person I want to use this place for a clinic. It's not as if I want to open a branch there. I'm just doing my pilot study. And the person told me to rent the place is 350,000 naira. So it is very easy to start up a clinic. All you have to do is get an accommodation in a place where there is no. If you get a place, like for 300,000, you can get a place the way there is no clinic. You wash the place, you can paint the place for 50,000, that's 350. And before you know, you have started a clinic. But most people do not know this. Most people think that you must have 10 million naira, 5 million naira before you start a clinic, but it's not actually true.
That is exactly why another question I want to cut you short on that. Sorry for that. Is that there is this kind of belief that to set up a clinic in Nigeria, you need a huge amount of money, maybe like millions over millions, before you can start up a clinic.
No, I started my clinic with 500,000 naira.
Wow. Please
I
let me
started my
just
clinic with five.
before you continue, please. So sorry about that. My viewers, you can now see now live and direct on this particular show, Adam Said Blog Show, Health Media Chat, with my guest. He started the clinic with just 500,000 naira, not a million, not 2 million, not 10 million. Kindly continue, please.
I started my clinic with 500,000 naira. I know you might say that that was when Nigeria was better. No, I'm talking about 2017, July, specifically July 2017. So that's 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So my clinic is 3 years plus now. I started with 500,000. I rented the apartment. The apartment was worth 350,000 naira. I got some I got some equipment. I got some equipment for 150,000 naira. I was able to get some numbers from my mentors who gave me some drugs on credit, who gave me some instruments like autoclave, refrigerators, delivery sets, suctioning machine on credit. I paid them instrumentally. So I started my clinic with 500,000 naira. Where will I get a million naira from? I grew up in a very poor background. Where will I get such amount from? I can't even save up to a million naira a year. When I was working, I was earning 70,000 naira a month. I can't even save up to 1 million naira a year. So where will I get the money from? So I set up my clinic with 500,000 naira. I paid for the rent. The most important thing in setting up a clinic is you being able to afford the accommodation that you want to start off with. If you are able to save the money for the accommodation, trust me, every other thing are minor. So people need to understand you don't need a million naira. See, the most important thing about healthcare is the personnel and not the building. It is the personnel that makes up an healthcare. Even if you have a gigantic building and you don't have a qualified staff, you can't call it a clinic. But even in a church, if you have all the qualified staff, even if it's an open air, you can still do everything you want to do. I took a delivery of a pregnant woman along the road. Last year, the woman was in labor inside a market. I was passing by and I saw the woman was in labor. I took her delivery inside the market. That was because a qualified person was on ground. That place can be known as a clinic because of my presence. I am a clinic. I am a moving clinic. If you're a qualified personnel, you have the epitome of a clinic inside you. It is not a building that makes up a clinic. It is the personnel that makes up a clinic, not the building.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I have to cut my guess because there is another program that is coming up. You're still going to talk about that. You can see it's fully loaded. You are not wasting your time right now. You can see you are gaining a lot of things. If I should give him continue to speak about this in the next 2 or 3 hours, you just be watching and be like, oh my goodness, I want to be like this man. So let's just keep it like that. Now, let me take you to another question, different entirely. Now, being a registered nurse and having all this kind of experience, and you are very hardworking, you are doing a lot of great job. How do you relate with other medical directors, knowing fully well that the relationship, the nurse doctor relationship in Nigeria is not really as cordial as that. I want to be specific about this particular question because I heard some information some years back about one particular nurse. He happened to be my boss. I just heard the story, not even from him directly. I heard it that he had a very big clinic. He's a professor. He's a professor of nursing. He's well known in Nigeria. I don't want to mention his name. He had a clinic in Ibadan. The moment I say a clinic in Ibadan, some people already know who I'm talking about. Now, he had a clinic in Ibadan, very gigantic building. A very big clinic. And he employed a lot of medical workers, doctors, and so many other people. At one time, they had to be like, I don't know, I don't want to use a negative term, like they are not supporting him. They were calling their colleagues, they are calling the doctor, saying that how can you work under the clinic of a nurse? Other Meanwhile, this particular person I'm talking about, this professor I'm talking about, is not even working in the clinic. He is a lecturer, he works in the schools, he work in the he's a professor in the university. Now, that's why I'm bringing up this particular question. How do you relate with other medical directors who happen to be medical doctors?
All right, thank you very much. Now, let me tell you, it's not everyone that went to school are actually educated. Being educated doesn't mean that you are a doctor or you are a nurse. So many people are naive about this profession. There are a lot of misconceptions about this. Even I am in so many WhatsApp groups where people talk what they don't know. Now, listen, most of the hospitals I gain my experience are owned by auxiliary nurses. They are owned by CHUS. You have no problem with them as much as they employ you and they are paying your salary. Listen, bros, anybody can set up a clinic in Nigeria or in the world if you have the money and employ anyone you want to employ. Most people that have banks, the owner of banks, they are not bankers. Most people that have cars, they are not drivers, but they employ drivers to drive them around. If you are paying their salary, nobody can come to your house to spill rubbish. Auxiliary nurses can set up an hospital and they will employ registered nurses, they will employ qualified doctors. As far as they meet the criteria of the Ministry of Health, nobody can question them. So if you are a doctor and you are throwing tantrum, you are getting angry, why are you working under a registered nurse? You really don't know your profession. You really don't know anything. Because being a doctor is different from being a business person. They are two, that's why so many people are doctors today, but they don't know how to run an hospital. I have seen so many doctors set up an hospital. After a year, the hospital closed down. Because being a businessman is different from being a professional. I have seen so many nurses being employed by a doctor and they are rude. Some of them they don't want to learn, they don't want to gather the experience, they don't want to they tell the how can I be working under a doctor? They are paying your salary, where do you want to work? They are, as far as they are paying your salary and they didn't insult you, you should work there. I I I I there was a doctor I employed and he was misbehaving, and I called him. I said, "Look, Oga, I really don't know what you were taught in medical school, but this is my business. I am the medical director of this facility. If I tell you don't do this, you should ask me why I said you should not do it. And if you don't want to work here, you can go. I can employ anybody I want to employ. As much as I'm not owing you, you are answerable to me. Go to teaching hospitals. Most of these chief medical directors, they are not professors. If you go to most teaching hospitals, most general hospitals, the head of the with mine. As much as I am paying you your salary, you should do your job what you are employed to do.
Thank you for that. I can see that these are the confirmed statement from a reliable source now. So it's not about whether you are educated or you have the certificate. This is about business. In fact, I want to share my own personal experience too. I some years back, I I dropped my CV and my application letter in a clinic in Lagos, precisely around the Isolo site. And fortunately for me, the guy that I met, who happened to be the medical director, can you imagine what? He is neither a health worker, just as you said, he is into business. You work for me, I pay you, and that is all. So that was the first time I was like, this is very fantastic. These are the things that we are at that time I was not exposed to. I was like, how can someone who is not neither a nurse, nor a doctor, nor a health practitioner have a clinic? And later on, I tried to understand that it doesn't even mingle with the affair of the treatment. Just as you said, his own is do this, do this, do this, then you get your salary, do a very perfect job, let my clinic be well known, if you're a nurse, do your professional job very well. If you're a doctor, do your professional job very well. I want to have a good name, I want my clinic to be good, and you get paid off. Thank you very much for that. And my viewers, I hope you can learn from that. Is quite, you have to understand these particular things that he just mentioned. Now, let me just take you back to this particular topic that we are discussing again today. We are talking about um, healthpreneurship in nursing, the neglected roots. This is one of the questions that some of my fans sent to me, and they asked me, what do I mean by neglected roots? Can they tell us what is this particular neglected roots?
Hello? Sorry,
Yeah,
can you
hello.
rephrase
Yeah.
your question?
Okay, now I
Yeah.
said, going back to the topic that we are discussing this evening, which is healthpreneurship in
Mm.
nursing, the neglected roots. Can you just tell us what is this neglected
Mm.
roots?
most people don't want to go into, they don't actually, health. Most people are coming into health. Most people want to become a nurse now. Most people, in fact, everybody wants to become a nurse. Everybody wants to become a nurse. Most people don't want to become a doctor now. What is raining now is nurse, 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 nurse. People want to become a nurse because is people now is the new oil well, because the natural resources of Nigeria, which is the oil well, is gradually fading out. People are investing into nursing now. You know, when they get married, they want their wife to become a nurse. When you have a girl child, you want to become a nurse. If you have an house help, you want her to become a nurse. Even children that are in primary school, you want to become a nurse. So, but being a nurse is not enough. What is enough is diversification of income, because a lot of people, what they only know is that once I become a nurse, I will graduate and be earning 50,000 naira. That's the standard rate of most private hospitals now in Nigeria. But diversification is what will give you the financial empowerment that you need as a nurse, whereby you don't need to wait for your salary to come before you buy pads. You don't need for you to wait for your salary to come before you change your bra, before you change your pants. You don't need to wait for your salary to come before you put food on your family table. So now, for you to have that financial freedom, you need to diversify. And most nurses don't know how to diversify their income. Most nurses don't know what to do because they only believe on one part, working for someone. You can actually be working for someone and people are also working for you, you know. So people neglect their business part. People don't know how they can convert nursing into business. So many people, once you become a nurse, they start calling you on phone. I have headache, I have stomach pain, I have this, I have this. You can monetize all these things that people call you to complain about. You can monetize it. You can people How can you be consulting for free on phone?